What is up, ladies and gentlemen? This is episode 2 of the Pigskin Poets podcast. I thought episode 1 went off on a hitch, and it was a lot of fun to ramble and talk about our football knowledge, our history with the Buffalo Bills, et cetera, et cetera. So here we are returning for episode 2, and just want to give a shout out to my co-host Ian Leakey. My name is Jake Podger. Ian, how we doing tonight, man? I'm pretty fired up for episode 2 here, man.
Absolutely. I think this is going to be a great one. Real quick, I forgot. I didn't get a chance to open it. This is a Polar Seltzer. If Polar was ever, we're going to talk about sponsorships in a little bit, but if Polar was ever to seltzer anyone or sponsor anyone, I would want it to be me. I love Polar Seltzer waters.
The can is appealing, too. I mean, that looks like a pretty solid can. Is that grape flavored?
Yeah, so they have these limited edition flavors for the summer, and this is the poolside grape flavor. And for whatever reason, I don't know why, I think I was telling you about this. They smell like the smell is kind of like the root beer bottle cap candies. And I don't know why, because it's grape. So you would think it would be the grape one, but it's not. There's something about it. It just reminds me of the bottle cap candies. I don't know if they use the same ingredients or something to get the flavors, but man, it's awesome.
Dude, that sounds incredible. Man, I could taste it right now. Like, bottle caps, first off, that's an OG candy right there. Like, that is...
Absolutely.
It's an underrated candy as well. I mean, some people say it tastes like chalk. Well, to us, I mean, we grew up on that.
So do Smarties. People love Smarties.
Smarties, yeah, yep. And there was another one too.
There was a Canadian one.
Yes.
I can't remember what it was called, but I know what you're saying. What you're thinking.
Started with an N, maybe.
Ooh, I'm not gonna remember.
Man. Yeah, if you could think of the name of that candy, put it in the comments below. I think it was created by Nestle, actually. I want to say it was created by Nestle.
Sweet tarts are chalky too.
Sweet tarts are too, yeah.
So.
That's true. Well, speaking of sponsorships, I'm also going to be cracking a cold one here. This is a soft sponsorship, which is why we don't have them on the banner yet, but we're looking to get there. So a long time ago, back on the early days of Nickel City Mafia, every single show I would crack open a Labatt. And I had a goal of cracking open a Labatt Blue and finally getting some recognition from the company, Labatt Brewing. And it never really happened until I moved into this neighborhood. And I now have a neighbor down the road. Shout out to you, Bill. I don't know. I'm not going to give your last name. His name is Bill. Great freaking guy. Incredible vibes. He actually works for Labatt. And he hooked us up with some awesome merch. So as you can see behind me, I have this Labatt sponsored igloo, this Labatt Blue igloo with some beers inside of it. And then he also gave me this Lipton hard tea sign, which is pretty freaking awesome too. So
I was going to ask about that. What I thought this was a Labatt thing, and I'm like,
well, it is, but I think
Labatt?
Lipton is. I want to say that Lipton is actually owned, or they have a partnership with Labatt, and the creators of this Lipton hard iced tea, which I've never tried. Hands up. I want to say that they are either partnered or there is some correlation there between them and Labatt with it. So shame on me for not doing my research prior to this, but the sign is freaking sweet. So I'm going to advertise it in the back, and we're going to see what happens here. And by the way, I got one of these special beers, these limited edition Summer Shandy, Stadium Shandy beers, Labatt Blue Light Stadium Shandy, and we got a real lemon juice with blueberry flavor type of profile here. And these cans are pretty cool because each one has their own like limited edition thing. So this one is featuring like the greatest comeback and the scoreboard on it. Pretty cool stuff. So obviously this is the last year the Buffalo Bills will be playing in the current Highmark Stadium, Ralph Wilson Stadium, Rich Stadium, whatever you want to call it. So it's a special year. Labatt is their official sponsor as far as beer goes. So without further ado, I'm going to crack this sucker open. I'm going to give you guys a first taste. I'm not usually one for like these fruitier drinks per se, but it's not bad. Definitely tastes more like juice, but it's not bad.
Okay, so
I would drink this on a summer day. I would drink this on a summer day.
It's not like a sour then.
No, not at all. It's definitely more of like it's kind of like, I mean, it's not very cold. You put this on some ice, I'll tell you what, this could really rock your socks off.
That could change the afternoon. That's what that
Could
could
change
do.
in the afternoon. Yeah, I mean, I'd take this out to the golf course, swing a couple clubs, and kind of get after it. Also, pet peeve of mine. Sometimes you'll see like on different shows and podcasts, these creators, they'll have like the cans lined up and they won't open them. They'll just be there, just lined up. It's like, how are you not gonna like crack open that can of beer or Happy Dad or whatever you're promoting? Like that's just insane to me. So I will never be that guy. I mean, obviously there's like boxes of beers behind me, but like at least I took one from that box and I cracked it open. Like the fact that these, I don't know if it's just discipline and maybe that's why they're in much better shape than I'm in. But like, how do you just sit there with a fully loaded can of beer or whatever in front of you and not crack that sucker open? That's just insane to me. If you're promoting something, why aren't you drinking on live? I mean, you got to be drinking it at least on the show. It's just always been a pet peeve of mine. I don't know how you feel about that, Ian.
That's definitely a discipline thing because I have to tell you, I have no discipline.
Yeah,
Uh, and I could care less, to be honest with you, if it was in front of me. I don't know what it is. It's not my cup of tea. But you put polar seltzer water in front of me,
yeah,
that
there we
that
go.
sucker is going down in 30 seconds or less for your money back. I'll tell you that much.
I'll tell you what, next show, I'm hoping you have some Polar Seltzer stuff behind you, some merch from them. That would be kind of cool. I don't know who owns that company. I don't know if Polar is the name of the company, but that would be pretty
I
sick
think it
too.
is. This should be the research I should be doing if I
Let's
really
see.
want them.
Polar Beverages is the owner of it. So gonna have to reach out. We'll see what happens.
It's great.
But right now, my allegiance is to Labatt. And thank you again, Bill. We really appreciate the hell out of you, man. This is kind of cool to have like a backdrop with the sign and the cooler and some beers and the summer shandy, which, like I said, it's not bad. I'm not normally, I'm more of like, if I'm drinking something that has some flavor, I'll do high noons and I'll do happy dads. This is like a mix. This is a mix of it's got a little bit of carbonation and it's blueberry lemon flavored. So it's not bad. I mean, I'll give it like a solid 6.5 out of 10. We'll take that all day.
Yeah.
And right after this, I'm gonna get right into an actual beer. Gonna bring back some tradition and crack open a normal ice cold beer on the show as well. And this is gonna be a 10 out of 10 every freaking time. So I'm excited for it. But even more excited to talk about some great topics that we have on the docket today. One of those being the fact that ESPN released their all quarter century NFL team. So there were some names that were left off the list, some names that were maybe on the list that kind of surprised us. And Ian, I'm going to have you actually pull that list up if you don't mind. So they dropped the offense and the defense, and special teams is also included on this. And we were kind of reviewing this list and it was interesting. Like, you have your normal names that should be on the list, such as like Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, and, like Ray Lewis for the defense and guys that are obvious shoe-ins, right? But then you look at some of these other positions and man, I feel like they were leaving some skin on the bone there. I didn't quite totally understand it. And I think the theory is, and here it is, the theory is they wanted to get someone from each part of the 2000s. So, whether they are a top 5 receiver of all time or not, as long as they were really, really good in that era, whether it be from 2015 to 2020, 2010 to 2015, I think they wanted to do kind of a mishmash and a culmination of all of that in this. So, looking at this team overall, it's not bad, but immediately, as a fullback guy, first off, you look at Kyle Juszczyk and you got to think first off, we going traditional fullback or are we going with one of the only fullbacks, one of the very few fullbacks that is, a featured player in his offense. And I'm going to start there, Ian, because I think the quarterbacks are good. Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Pat Mahomes. I mean, you're not going to find 3 other guys that are much better. Listen, I love Josh Allen. I think he is a better quarterback player, but Mahomes has the accolades and everything else. So I'm going to start with you, Ian. Fullback position here. We replacing Kyle Juszczyk or what?
Well, real quick, I have one point on the quarterbacks. The only
Yeah,
other person I think you can argue is Drew Brees to throw in there for Peyton, but I think it makes more sense to have Peyton in there. But I'm just saying Drew Brees did play longer. He's got
yeah.
more accolades, but it is Peyton. It's kind of hard to pull him.
Well, Peyton
Uh,
has the MVPs too. Drew Brees only has. I
True.
don't even know. Does Drew Brees have one?
He has at least one, but he also played basically the entirety of two
True.
full decades. I mean,
Yeah.
he does not have one, which is crazy to me. Not
Yeah.
even in
Yeah. It was
2009.
always, it's hard when you're competing against Tom Brady and Peyton Manning, you know? And then, by the way, you have some other guys in the mix, such as like Aaron Rodgers and even Brett Favre earlier on. And, you know, there was just a mishmash of guys that it's hard to be the number one guy. And there's so many players that have came and gone. And it's like, man, they had some really good seasons, but they couldn't hold a candle to these other dudes.
It's true. It's true. But anyways, back to fullback. So the first person that came to mind for me when I thought of fullback was like Tony Richardson.
Yeah, I
Um,
love that.
Tony Richardson only played for about 10 years though in that stretch, but like, you think of the different fullbacks that blocked behind some of the best rushing performances you've ever seen. You got Lorenzo Neal with LT. You got, I mean, I don't know if Max Strong could make the list, but hey, he was behind Sean Alexander,
Trent
right?
Alexander,
And T. Rich was behind Priest Holmes, who had
Priest Holmes.
arguably like the best 3 game stretch ever. And if you want to get real weird with it, you can start listing off guys who were actually offensively productive, like Mike Allstott, who was a dominant rusher.
Right.
Heck, he could even catch out of the backfield, which you don't expect for a guy with a neck roll, but he makes it work. So,
I know it.
yeah, I don't know. I guess Kyle Juszczyk, just because he's still a relevant player even when the fullback position is so obsolete. But I think you should give love to the guys who, right before the fullback kind of became unnecessary, they were the most dominant and provided the best rushing dominant years that we've ever seen in the NFL. And honestly, will probably never be topped because I don't think you're ever going to see again a guy getting like 400 carries like Larry Johnson did. Or something like that. I mean, that era of football is over. So I think while you got the most dominant rushing attack, you should go for the fullbacks who blocked behind those great rushers.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the offensive prowess for Juszczyk is really impressive, but again, it's like, who is he competing against? Pat Ricard. You know, you have your other guys that are like those one-time wonders at the fullback position, but they're, I mean, less than a quarter of the league utilizes the fullback position in their offense. So, you know, when you look at some of the guys that we grew up with, such as like Fred Beasley, Tony Richardson, Lorenzo Neal. I mean, Lorenzo Neal, not really the offensive prowess that Mike Allstott or some of these other guys, Larry Centers or Richie Anderson or some of these other guys had. But I mean, he blocked for 11 1,000-yard rushers. That's got to say something. I think it was 11 straight, I want to say, which is just super impressive.
It's just insane. And
Yeah,
the fact that he was healthy the entire time is even more insane. And I know
right.
people are going to look at Kyle Juszczyk and go, "Oh, he's a 9-time Pro Bowler." But again, like Jake referenced, I mean, he's competing against what, maybe 3 other guys,
Yeah.
maybe, and that's on the NFC side of things. So like, while it's impressive that he's been able to stick around and still be part of their offense, I don't know. And I think you have to give it to one of the other guys who.
I'm going to give it to Lorenzo Neal because I think he actually truly belongs in the Hall of Fame. And I love Mike Allstott so much. I have so much love for that man. But I'm going to give it to Lorenzo Neal just because he played, you know, for a good portion in the 2000s. And the fact that he blocked for 11 consecutive 1,000-yard rushers, it was 11 straight. That's beyond impressive. And he blocked for a guy, Ian, that was left off of this list in LaDainian Tomlinson. And that is absolutely criminal. While I love these running backs that are here, Priest Holmes is phenomenal. And perhaps he had maybe the best 3-year stretch of any running back ever, you know, from like 2001 to 2004 ish, around there, 2002 to 2004.
3,
It was
I think
insane what he did.
01 to 03 was that
01
stretch.
to 03. That's correct. Yeah, you're right. You're right. So yeah, I mean, there's no denying what he did, and do I think he deserves to actually be in the Hall of Fame just because like guys like Terrell Davis and guys like Gale Sayers, they got in. So I think Priest Holmes also deserves to get in because of that. But I cannot put him over LaDainian Tomlinson. I can't put him over Adrian Peterson, and both of those guys are not on this list. It's absolutely insane to me. So who are you replacing here? Who are your running backs?
I mean, to be honest with you, I think the first person I would replace is Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
And again, I understand like the unbelievable receiving ability that Christian McCaffrey like possesses, but also how long has he been in the league? And the way I look at it is like during Marshall Faulk's little term in the 2000s, he probably put up similar numbers. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I
And
mean,
I would put Marshall Falk, I think, over Christian McCaffrey.
yeah,
Even.
I'm looking at McCaffrey's stat. The problem is, it's like an every other season type of thing for Christian McCaffrey. I mean, he did have back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons from 2018 to 2019, and then that 2019 season was really like the peak, where he had 1,300
Yeah, I
yards
mean,
rushing, 15 touchdowns, 116
116
catches.
receptions is
That's insane.
ridiculous.
It's insane. Yeah.
That is insane. But like, it seems like what they did, other than Derrick Henry, is they took the first two guys and said who was the best running back, bar none, for like a 2-year stretch. And it's like, well, Christian McCaffrey was, and then Priest Holmes was. But like, I honestly think that longevity needs to play some kind of role.
I agree.
Unless the talent is, I would like to see Christian McCaffrey get like maybe 4 or 5 of those seasons in a row, as opposed to 2.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like, LT has to be there. Adrian Peterson has to. I mean, come on.
How is AP not on this?
Like,
I know he's in the news for for a gambling thing or something where he's like throwing haymakers, but like the guy was a hell of a running back. Sheesh.
I mean, yeah, you really can't have him off the list, I think.
You talk about, I'm actually going to show this because this is crazy. I mean, LT's numbers are bananas. Like you talk about the complete back. I mean, you look at these numbers here. I'm going to just remove this for a second here. I'm going to show you what we're looking at. I mean, receiving back and running back. You look at 2003, didn't even make the Pro Bowl that year because it was so competitive. Guys like Clinton Portis, Priest Holmes, Edgerrin James, those guys were all getting into Ricky Williams, I think, too. Those guys were all voted to the Pro Bowl over LaDainian that year. LaDainian rushed for 1,600 yards and also caught 100 passes for 725 yards.
That is so ridiculous.
No one talks about this season. It's almost like a forgotten season in his career, which is crazy. It's bananas to me because of all of his other great years. I mean, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 straight 1,000+ yard seasons. And all of those years, but 9 straight years of 10 or more rushing touchdowns. That's ridiculous. And then you look at this 2006 year where he won MVP, 1,800 yards, 28 rushing touchdowns. Still caught 56 passes, had 31 total touchdowns that year. Oh, and by the way, let's go take a look at the passing numbers because he could also throw the ball. The guy threw 7 passing touchdowns in his career, had nearly a perfect rating of 146.9. I mean, he could do it all, man. He was just a touchdown scoring machine. And you look at, I love that they do this now, the 17-game average. 1,368 yards, 14 touchdowns, also averaged 62 catches for 477 and 15 total touchdowns this season. I mean, this guy was just different.
Ridiculous.
To me, he is a top 3 running back of all time. I put Barry and Walter maybe over him, but LT's right there at 3 for me. I mean, Jim Brown, too, you could throw in the mix, but it's like what he did was just different, man. Like he is 100% a top 5 running back of all time, in my opinion, at the very least.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's absolutely criminal that he was left off this list. I don't know how you do it. And, while we're on the topic, let's go look at Adrian Peterson's numbers too, because again,
more to the point with LT, I mean, the guy was an MVP as a running back.
Yeah.
In this competitive running back. Now, I know you could say Sean Alexander was as well, but like,
yeah,
obviously, if you look at Sean Alexander, he didn't last quite as long. But LT, with all of those 1,000-yard seasons, and not to mention Jake, he also had double-digit touchdowns, rushing specifically.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And now LT didn't do one thing, and that was run for over 2,000 yards in the season, which AP did. Whatever. I mean,
sure.
He had however many consecutive seasons over 1,000 yards.
I mean, Priest Holmes didn't.
So. Yeah, I know it. And the thing is, it's like Adrian Peterson had such a good stretch. You look at really 2007 to 2013. Even this year, he was going to have 1,000 yards. It was only a matter of time, but he got hurt for the last 4 games of the year or whatever it was. I mean, what he did was really, really impressive. The fact that he got hurt, he tore his ACL, I think, in 2014, came back, ran for 1,485 yards, and then he has this lull. And then in 2018, at age 33, runs for over 1,000 yards with Washington. It's like, that is impressive. I don't know how he wasn't on the list. It's crazy to me. You talk about the years he played, too. I mean, he played from 2007 to 2021. How was he left off the list? That's just bonkers to me. I don't understand it.
Yeah,
So
I think Derrick Henry definitely will, and I mean, I think he already is one of the better runners. But
I can
like,
understand putting Derrick Henry on the list, especially because this time, like this day and age, especially with the fact that the running back position is like so, it is coming back. Don't get me wrong, but like what he has done in this era is super impressive, and the yards per carry is just
dude,
five
that
point
is
nine yards a carry last
that
year.
is the most
Crazy.
underappreciated stat line that he had last year. Because yes, he rushed for almost 2,000 yards. He had 16 touchdowns, which is insane again. But
Yeah,
5.9 yards per carry is ridiculous.
it's
Two
nuts.
two two carries, he has a first down every time.
Yeah,
That's
yep,
insane. I mean, to be over 5 is insane, but to almost be at 6, I mean, he could go down the field in 10 carries and score.
right.
Like, why
And I
would you
think
not do that every time?
Oh,
You know what
absolutely.
I
I
mean?
mean, he's such a different type of back too. The fact that he's basically, I mean, the size of an edge rusher running the football straight
Yeah.
at you, just a human freight train. It's incredible. I mean, it really
And he's
is.
30.
And he's 30. It doesn't look like he's slowing down anytime soon, knock on wood. So I'm okay with leaving Derek on the list, actually, just based on numbers and what he's done. I mean, look at the yards too. Yards per game. It's just ridiculous,
And
man.
you have to have a modern guy, and I feel like from like maybe after Jamal Charles, I would say there was a run of running backs who like they would have like a 3-year stretch of greatness and then down. Like DeMarco Murray's the first person that comes to mind when I think of like, wow, he was like he
Yeah.
was he was like Priest Holmes like where he had these like great years and then it kind of fell off. And then like you have another guy who would have these great 3 years and then he would fall off. LaShawn McCoy. I mean, he had probably I would say 4 or 5 great years potentially, but like they were in and out, and you know he didn't also have the like he was obviously a good receiver, but I mean even if you compare it to like LT, like you start talking about our guys, it's like our guys like LT.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing too, Christian McCaffrey. It's like, man, the problem with him is he just can't stay on the field. I think if he does stay on the field, he has a much stronger case. Like what he can do is super
Sure.
impressive, and he is unique in his own right. Like back-to-back seasons here where he caught over 100 passes. That's pretty freaking impressive. Don't get me
Yeah, that
wrong, but
that's
like,
crazy. I mean,
yeah,
but it's also how he was utilized, right? Like they were force feeding him the ball quite a bit in Carolina. I also think like if you're going to pick a modern guy, like the other guy that comes to mind is like Saquon, like
yeah,
over
right.
Christian McCaffrey even. But
Yeah, and here's a way to look at it too. If Christian McCaffrey retires today, do you think he's a Hall of Famer? I think he's in the Hall of really good. I don't think he's a
yeah,
Hall of Famer.
I agree.
You know. Now, Priest Holmes is a different story because I know obviously injuries are a thing to talk about with him, but like this is ridiculous. I mean, this 3 year stretch is again, I mean, I'll say it. It might be one of the best 3 year stretches ever by a running back. I mean, 1,500 yards. This is in 14 games, Ian. 14 games. He had 1,600 plus rushing yards, 21 rushing touchdowns, also caught 70 passes for 672 yards and three. He had 24 total touchdowns in 14 games. I mean, he could have very well set the record this year, but then he went ahead and did it in 2003 with 27 and an LT Brook in 2006.
Dude, what's
Bananas.
amazing is like I can't even imagine nowadays like running your entire offense and just giving it to one dude the entire time
Yeah.
because that's basically what they did. I mean, like there
Mhm.
was no one else who else got the ball when he's got, basically 400 total like touches if you include his
Yeah.
attempts and his catches and or his targets, I should say. I mean, like you're running your entire offense through this guy. It's crazy.
It
And he
is.
stayed healthy for most of it, which is just
Yeah.
insane.
And it is sad because again, this is another guy. I mean, he had a spinal injury and had to retire early. I mean, not even really early. I guess he was more of a late bloomer in his NFL career
Yeah.
because he didn't really get started until he was like, I mean,
He didn't get
25 years
drafted.
old in Baltimore. Yeah,
So,
undrafted guy. So yeah, it is definitely a name that would be in consideration for me as a Hall of Famer, just because there are guys like Terrell Davis who had a similar type of career where it's like a career-ending injury. And then Gale
right.
Sayers too, another name that comes to mind. So because those guys are in, I would consider putting Priest Holmes in just because of what he did in such a short time. I mean, super, super impressive. He could do it all. catch passes, run the football, score touchdowns. I mean, that's what he did.
And he was able to
Unreal.
come back from that crazy injury and still start 2 games, which is
Yeah.
nuts.
Yeah.
Know?
It's impressive. It really is. So, yeah, no, going back to this, yeah, I think my backs would be LT, Adrian Peterson, and Derrick Henry. I think those are the
Yeah.
three. I mean, another guy that I would think of maybe putting in the list there is Edgerrin James, Hall of Famer Edgerrin James, who didn't really get the recognition I feel like he deserved throughout his NFL career because there were so many other good backs. But again, consistency. I mean, he was super impressive with what he did. And he just, yeah, did it consistently. How many, let's see, 2003 to 2007, he had 5 straight 1,000-yard seasons, 1,500 yards, two back-to-back years, 12,000 yards in his career. Yeah, I mean, pretty damn good back. So, and he was inducted in 2020. So he is in the Hall of Fame as well. But yeah, that's the running back position. Now moving on to receivers here, Ian. This is interesting, right? So Randy Moss, Julio Jones, Marvin Harrison. I don't have any issues right now. Kelvin Johnson, T.O., and then Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, the only name that really like caught my eye immediately, because like I think everybody else kind of deserves to be up there, but the fact is that even though Justin Jefferson will probably go down as one of the best receivers of all time, as long as he continues to stay healthy and he plays as well as he is, I mean the dude's only going to play for 5 years in this quarter century. So if we're going based off a quarter century, the first
the
name
guy
that came to
started his
mind,
career in 2020.
right? The first name that came to mind was you left Larry Fitzgerald off this list. Like you can't leave Larry off this list. It's just not a thing, And again, we talked about how like they want a modern guy in there, right? Because all of those other guys are retired. So if you want one receiver who's like still currently playing, I mean, my first thought was like Devontae Adams, Mike Evans.
Yeah. Mike Evans?
Mike
Again,
Evans should
another guy that
absolutely
just doesn't, right?
be on that list. But that was obviously the first name that really caught me off guard for the receivers.
Yeah.
But
and with Larry's career, I mean, he played with all different types of quarterbacks, man. Like he, played with guys like John Skelton. He played with guys like Kevin Cobb, Josh McCown, Sean King. And then you have the Kurt Warners, the Drew Stantons,
I love
Carson
Drew
Palmers. I do too. He's great, man. And I love what Larry did. He was just always the most selfless guy. Moved into more of a slot receiver role towards the end of his career. And if you have recency bias, that's all you probably remember him for. But dude, early on in his career, he was so freaking explosive. That Super Bowl run that the Cardinals went on and probably should have won had it not been for an incredible throw and catch by Big Ben and San Antonio Holmes. I mean, Larry was such a big part of that. His playoff performance was insane. The guy was just, he was next level. And one thing with Larry Fitz, too, you could just throw the ball up and he'd come down with it. And I believe the stat is he had more tackles than drops in his career, which is just ridiculous considering how many times the guy was targeted. He just caught everything you threw to him. And second all-time leading receiver in NFL history. So how you leave him off the list here and put Justin Jefferson over him is just crazy to me. Jefferson, of course, he's the number one receiver in the NFL right now, but he came into the league in 2020. So I just can't see the reasoning for putting him on this list. And like you said, Ian, if you wanted to do a modern guy, there are other names you can go to. Devontae Adams, Mike Evans. I mean, if you really even want to do this, he's technically not retired, but he's wanted for a murder charge. Antonio Brown, that's a guy that maybe you want to put on this list even too, because he had a spectacular 5-year run and just insane stats, So I would take all of those guys over JJ right now. This is no respect to JJ, but it's like, this is the quarter century team, right? So you can't put a guy on there that started his career in 2020 as one of your receivers. It just doesn't make sense to me. So personally, I'm subbing Larry Fitz out for Justin Jefferson, and I think the rest are good.
Like I said, I think that JJ will eventually be better than. I mean, he might be the second best guy by the end of his career out of all those guys. I honestly believe that. Like he has the ability to be the second best guy out of all those guys.
Yeah.
But he's not there yet, and I don't think you should base an all quarter century team off of potential because the potential will be after the quarter century. Like there's a
Right.
little bit of a paradox there. You know what I mean?
That's just it. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's where we stand with receivers. Not bad. It's a great list. Great
Yeah,
list of names right there.
yeah.
I mean, can't go wrong with most of them.
If you want
Then
some other names like honorable mentions, like Torrey Holt.
yeah, let's hear them. What do you
Torrey
got?
Holt, I thought would be a good one.
Torrey Holt.
It just wasn't as long of a career for him. But the thing with the receivers, like during these last 25 years, is the good ones were really really good, and they were not only really good, but they were good for a long time.
Yeah.
It wasn't enough to just have like some burst years. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like if you look back at like who led the league in receiving throughout these last 25 years, it's actually not going to be the same guy every time, but you're going to notice that that guy probably won't be there in like 5 years. He
Right.
won't be putting up
Right.
that same production. Um, so it was really more about like just quantity from these guys and how long they can really. I mean, like again, you look at Randy Moss played for like like 15 years. To played for about I want to say 15 years or so.
Yeah, he was 15. Yep.
He was 15. Yep. Um,
Randy Moss was
Calvin
15.
Calvin was not, but that was because he chose to retire early. It's just the fact that he was so good. It really did. He has to be on the list. He's the best receiver out of all of them, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But even Julio, I mean, Julio played for 14 years.
Incredible.
13
incredible
years.
Career. Just retired. Just
Yeah.
officially announced his retirement. Yeah.
Yeah. And then obviously Marvin played for a while as well. So like it wasn't enough to be like I'm going to lead the league in receiving this year. I mean, I'm thinking of names like Brandon Lloyd led the league in receiving one year.
Yeah.
Right? That came out of nowhere. I think David Boston was very close to leaving.
David Boston in like 2001, maybe like 1,598 yards, something like
Derek
that.
Alexander almost led the league in receiving for a year.
2000.
I'm thinking of him. So like Musa Muhammad led the league in receiving in 2004. So like
touchdowns
again,
and yards, I believe.
Another guy I was thinking was Steve Smith Sr.
Yeah. Andre Johnson, dude. Andre
Johnson as well. So that's the thing is like they not only have to be really, really good on top of their game and doing things like leading league in receiving, but they also have to have been doing it for a very long time. And I think that's pretty consistent in the list. Other than with the exception of Calvin Johnson, because he was clearly the best receiver of that we'll ever see. Honestly, I genuinely think so. It's just not going to get much better. But yeah, I think that was the thing in the last 25 years.
Yeah, that's fair. Tight ends, I 100% agree with this list. I think it's a perfect list.
Yeah, we can absolutely move on. I mean, Antonio Gates is great. Jason Witten's great, but there's no beating these three.
Yeah, I don't think you could put them in the same. I mean, they're close. They're there. Jason Witten and Antonio Gates, those are the two names, obviously, that come to mind. But, yeah, I mean, the three here are they're the most dominant tight ends in NFL history as far as receiving yards and just what they did, touchdowns, all that stuff. Yeah.
And what one of them is currently doing.
Yeah,
so.
right. Yep.
Which is insane.
Left tackle. Now, this is where we may have a disagreement. I'm good with this list. Joe Thomas and Trent Williams, that's A-okay by me.
Man, I would put Jonathan Ogden over Trent Williams.
That's fair. Yeah.
I think. It's just I mean, one of the most dominant linemen ever. As not even counting left tackle. Orlando Pace probably didn't play long enough. Willie Rofe probably didn't play long enough in the 2000s for him to be considered on the list. I'm not saying Trent Edwards is bad. Jason Peters could also be a guy that could fit on that list for left tackle. But yeah. I mean, it's not like both of these guys are like. It's not like the Priest Holmes pick or the Christian McCaffrey pick. It's like okay. If you want to say they're the best of their era, I'm cool with it. But I think I would put Jonathan Ogden over Trent Williams.
That's fair. Yeah. I mean, both of them are 11-time Pro Bowlers. I think I would. The argument for Trent Williams is that he has played against some of the most athletic edge rushers of all time. As we've seen this evolution of this like defense where it is so like most elite defenses are a 3-4 defense with these stud edge rushers. And to play left tackle in the NFL right now, you have to be so freaking athletic. And I'm not saying that John Ogden didn't have to be, but different eras. The 4-3 defense was more of like the main staple that he had to go up against. And he went up against some great defensive ends, and not to take that credit away from him, but you got Trent Williams going up against these wide nines and these edge rushers that are fast as hell, running 4.40s. And for him to just maintain and be able to do what he does and actually get better over time is incredible to me. So I think that would be the argument for Trent Williams being on this list. I think he is a a surefire first ballot Hall of Famer. And what he's done is incredible. So
that's a great point. You've changed my mind. I am on your side at that point. I didn't think of it quite that way, but yeah, I completely agree.
I mean, John Ogden was, how many 11 straight Pro Bowls I think it was. And he only played.
He never missed a Pro Bowl.
Never missed a Pro Bowl in his career. That's unreal. I mean, he played from what, 97 to 2007 or something like 96?
96 to 2007. Oh, his rookie year, he was just an All-Pro. He was not a Pro Bowl.
Oh, sorry. Just an All-Pro. That's crazy. I mean, that is really impressive too. And that should not be held lightly.
He was fifth for Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Wow. Now that's amazing.
That is ridiculous. And he played guard that year. He even played tackle.
Jeez. That's interesting. At 6'8", you're playing guard.
Yeah.
I mean, that's,
yeah, 345.
Being able to bend like he can. Yeah, that's impressive,
disgusting.
Man. Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Oh, he caught a touchdown too, by the way.
Jeez. Nothing he can't do.
Nothing he can't do.
And Joe Thomas, I mean, he's just an all NFL Iron Man and a guy that was just fiercely loyal, and he never got that playoff berth with the Browns, unfortunately. I feel so bad. But he stuck by that team, man.
If you're talking about a guy that played for, if you're getting recognized, even though you played on teams that were completely mediocre, that means something. If guys are pointing you out on a team like the Browns during the 2000s and they're saying, oh no, watch out for Joe Thomas, that's a big deal because that team was very, very bad during his stretch. And he still maintained a Pro Bowl. That's pretty crazy because nowadays you don't see that very much. You don't see, last year, Titans. Who made the Pro Bowl from the Titans? Who made the Pro Bowl from the Panthers, right?
It's a great question.
Not many, because that's not a thing. That's not as much of a thing anymore. But if Joe Thomas is making the Pro Bowl on those Browns teams, that's insane.
It really is, man.
So
yeah, it was always him. You would always watching the Pro Bowl growing up when the Pro Bowl was the Pro Bowl. You'd see him out there in his red jersey, and it's what's that orange helmet doing out there? That's weird. I've never seen that before. It was either him or Josh Cripps. It was him and Josh Cripps were the only two. And then Braylon Edwards and Derek Anderson.
Yep, 1 year for Braylon Edwards.
Yep. Yeah, but that's it. I mean, that's all they had to really show for, unfortunately.
Yep.
So, yeah. Moving on to left guard. Love it. No issues here.
Yeah, absolutely no issues. I mean, this is like the tight ends for me. Perfectly fine.
Yeah, just easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Alan Faneca out there now running marathons, skinnier than ever. Kind of weird to see, but yeah, Alan Faneca, man, he was a mean SOB when he played. Had a phenomenal career with the Steelers, Jets, and Cardinals. Finished his career with Hall of Famer, unreal player. Steve Hutchinson, same deal. I mean, played with the Seahawks and the Vikings, and you talk about blocking for elite backs. Had both Sean Alexander and Adrian Peterson in his career, so love it.
Yeah,
moving on to center here now. I love Jason Kelce. I mean, this is great. But any other centers that you'd swap him out with, Ian?
There were some. And in fact, I was kind of thrown off by this one. But to be honest with you, I've been looking
Matt Burke,
looking around.
Kevin Why?
And I actually think that Jason Kelce is fine here.
He might be. Yeah, I do too. Actually.
Because the only other ones I was thinking of were Jeff Saturday, Kevin Mawai, and I was thinking Matt Burke, but he just didn't play in the 2000s as much. He didn't play the last 25 yards as much as you think. Yeah, Nick Mangold came to mind as well, but same sort of thing. He only played for about 10 years. But
yeah,
Jason Kelce putting up all these All-Pro numbers, and he was doing this as a center and an undersized center, to be honest, is pretty impressive. And the Eagles are known for their offensive line, and I think he was a big part of that. Like I said, I think Kevin Mawai would be your best. He would be your best comparison, like the other guy, the 2B or the 1B, right? He's your backup. But he only played from up until 2009. So it's not quite.
What about Marquise Pouncey? That would be another name maybe to consider.
Think about Marquise.
Because he was like a Pro Bowler almost every year. I think he was in the league. Almost. It was close. I know that.
Yeah, it was about 10 years as well for Marquise. So,
Yeah. What was he?
you
How
know,
many time Pro Bowler? He had to be up there.
he was a 9-time Pro Bowler.
That's pretty damn good. What was
So,
Jason Kelsey?
oh, I just had it. Hold on one second.
7-time Pro Bowler, 6-time All Pro. That's really impressive.
Yeah,
And
that is
obviously,
impressive.
yeah. And the fact that honestly his best years were like in his 30s, that's super impressive too, because the athleticism did not fall off at all. I mean, it actually got better over time, which is something you never see.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yeah, I'm all right with that. Yeah, let's
Like I said,
book it, man.
Kevin Mawai I think is a close second.
Yeah,
But yeah, I like Jason.
very nice. Moving on to right guard, we got Zach Martin and Marshall Yanda, who I think both of those guys are Hall of Fame worthy. Do not take any issue with either of them.
Yeah, to be honest with you, the rest of the line is pretty good for me. I
Yeah.
can't quite think of anybody that it would replace. And the ones that I would think of are on the left side of the line, honestly. So
Right.
I can't really think of anybody else that I would throw in here. I'm just trying to think. Now Larry Allen came to mind, but he didn't play long enough in the 2000s.
Yeah, rest in peace, Larry Allen, man. That's crazy that he's not even with us anymore. Unreal.
Yeah, he was a great player. 11-time Pro Bowler is nuts.
Yeah.
And 6-time All Pro in a row, 6 times in a row. That's crazy.
It's crazy, dude. And he played guard and tackle. I mean,
yeah,
super impressive. Yeah, hell of a career. All right. Moving on to head coach here, we got Bill Belichick. I think there's no argument there. Obviously going to be your head coach, right? I mean, who else would you put there?
Honestly, I have no idea. I have no idea who else you're going to put there. Won the most Super Bowls during that time frame. I think that's good enough for me, Chief.
You can't put anyone else there. OC, Kyle Shanahan.
Probably in terms of innovation.
Yeah.
Sneaky Sean McVay. But
okay.
He's not really an OC who's like a thing during this time. I'm trying to think of guys who weren't head coaches though, or ones that like stuck around. Eric Bieniemy.
I mean, Josh McDaniels, I guess.
Josh McDaniels might be a guy. Honestly, I like Josh McDaniels. He's a horrible head coach, but a fantastic offensive coordinator, and there's no
and he's back
denying that. Yeah, and he's back. So.
Yeah, I'm trying to even think too. Like, who else would you put up
Mike
there?
Martz. I love Mike Martz.
Mike Martz. Yeah, I mean,
but he was more of a '90s guy.
Greatest show on turf. Yeah, and he was the OC under Dick Vermeil. Became the head coach with the Rams in like 2001. So
yep,
can't really put him on there. Yeah, that is probably going to belong to. I mean, Al Saunders is a name. Al Saunders, very innovative, great coordinator. That's probably it, man. I can't think of anyone else. Yeah.
A lot of them just go on to be head coaches most of the time, and they either succeed or fail. And unfortunately, there aren't a lot of head coaches who go back to being coordinators and then they're like really, really good again. That doesn't happen all the time. Or sometimes it's the complete opposite, and there's guys like Robert Saleh, who's not a great head coach, but he's a fantastic defensive coordinator. Or Vic Fangio, great defensive coordinator, not a great head coach.
Right.
Jim Schwartz.
And that's a real thing, man. And Jim Schwartz, actually, it's crazy because he probably was one of the better head coaches because he actually took the Lions to the playoffs. But
That's true.
Still, you're absolutely right. Now moving on to special team, or where are we at? Defensive coordinator now, right?
Defensive. Yep.
Wade Phillips. I think I'm good with that.
Yeah, I mean, it makes total sense. The only other guys I was thinking of was Jim Schwartz, and then, yikes, Greg Williams. I don't know if you want to include Greg Williams, but like, it was another name that came to mind.
You got to probably put Steve Spagnuolo on the list too. I know he didn't really like rise to fame as much until like, the Chiefs, but what he did with the Giants against New England was unreal.
Very true. That's very true.
Very impressive. But I think Wade Phillips really, you talk about like an old timer and a guy that was in the league for a long, long time, and actually did have some success as a head coach too. Yeah, I mean, he won a Super Bowl at the ripe age of 78 as the DC for the Rams too. I mean, yeah, that's pretty damn good. So yeah, I think Wade Phillips is the right choice there.
For sure.
Definitely. Now, special teams, this is where it gets a little interesting. Now, for those of you who do not know, I love love my special teams. I pay homage to long snappers. I love talking about the punting and kicking game. So the special teams coordinator position, this one, Dave Tobe is phenomenal. Don't get me wrong, but I think there's some other guys out there that could maybe really seal the deal here. And one of the names that comes to mind is Jerry Rosberg. He's actually he's the current special teams coach for the Ravens right now. He's been there since I think John Harbaugh started. So that's a name that I would certainly consider putting on that list. He was with the Browns, the Falcons, and now the Ravens. So long tenured career. So that would certainly be a name. Joe DeCamillis is another name too. Bobby April, former Buffalo Bills special teams coach. That's another name for you.
So my guy was Mike Westhoff. Love Mike Westhoff.
Okay.
Special teamer for, coach for the Jets.
Yeah.
The Saints for a little bit there, and then also the Broncos as recently as last year. He's still He's 77.
That is kind of crazy, actually. Yeah.
Pretty insane. Yeah. He was featured on Hard Knocks, and that's how I always remembered him, because he had a he was still like running with the team and stuff, but he had like he had a metal rod put in his leg, basically. It's insane. He had this story. I think he got hit by a car or something, and he had this crazy surgery to repair his leg, but he was still out there like running around with everybody. It was very cool. Oh, Jim Fossil is another name I thought of.
Yeah, John Fossil. John Fossil, his son. Yeah. I think Jim actually, did he pass away recently too, Jim Fossil? I want to say he did.
I don't know. Currently the Titans special
teams. Oh, no, never mind. We're good. Nope, Jim Fossil is... Oh, no, he did die. Yeah, 2021, age 71. Wow. That's crazy. When you look at some of these guys, it's like, man, it starts to make you feel like old. I mean, I know it can happen at any point, but it's like, gosh, you got some of these guys that are passing away, and it's like you grew up with. I remember when he was the Giants head coach, took him to a Super Bowl. Like,
yeah,
it's wild, man. Yeah, crazy stuff.
But his son has been a very productive special teams coordinator.
Yeah, John Fossil. Yeah, great name. Yeah, absolutely. Cowboys, and now he's with the Titans, right?
He's with the Titans now.
Yep. I like it. All right, what do you say? We move on to defense.
Yeah, I'm just got to figure out how to do this. So here we go. Look at that.
Nice. Beauty. Yeah. So this is an interesting breakdown too, because the NFL has evolved so much on the defensive side of the ball. I kind of mentioned it earlier, where you have these elite defenses with these unreal pass rushers that are more of like these hybrid linebacker / D end types, So this is a tough list to really compile, and I'm kind of glad that they broke it down a little differently here. So starting with the edge position, you got DeMarcus Ware, who played as a 3-4 outside linebacker and then a defensive end in the Broncos defense. So, definitely deserves to be on this list. Myles Garrett has had an incredible career too, so I'm great with both of those names here.
Yeah, I mean, the only other one I could think of is like maybe Von
Miller would be another name. Yeah, for sure. But TJ Watt too, obviously, would be a name to consider here.
Yeah, if you want like somebody who's still playing, you can. Right. You do have Myles Garrett.
So they chose Myles Garrett over him, which is fine. I mean, that's totally good with that.
Yeah, I think that makes sense for sure. Yeah, I didn't have much of a problem with the edge list, to be honest with you. I'm totally.
I like it.
Good with it.
Yeah, and then you got Jared Allen and Julius Peppers on the other side. I mean, Julius Peppers was next level freak athlete. I think he retired. What was he, number 3 or maybe number 2 all time? Or I'm sorry, number 3 or 4 all time in career sacks. He's got to be on up there.
It must be high. I'm gonna take a look right now. 159.5.
Okay,
which is a pretty high number.
Behind what? Kevin Green,
Bruce Smith,
Reggie White, and Bruce. Yeah, interesting. Okay, yeah. I mean, Julius Peppers, freak athlete, was a basketball player at UNC.
He's currently 5th.
5th. Oh, so who do we got ahead of him?
Deacon Jones.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm glad that they finally went back and like calculated the sacks for each of those guys back in the day, because the sack did not become an official stat until what, 1982?
Yeah, it was something like that. It's somewhere in the 80s for sure.
Yeah, but I like this list a lot. Jared Allen, man, you got to give him the love. Finally got the nod to go in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Well deserved.
Absolutely.
You talk about a dude that was consistent as hell. Had 22 sacks in 2011. I think he had however many straight years, maybe 8 straight years of 11 or more sacks. I mean, just really just wreaked havoc on the quarterback. So, absolutely love it. So I'm
Yeah,
good with that.
and he played a good, like, he was obviously within that 25 years completely.
Yeah.
So he has a lot of mileage there. I got sidetracked with Deacon Jones because I didn't realize that he had 3 seasons with 20 plus sacks. That is
Isn't that
insane.
insane? Yeah.
22, 21 and a half, 22.
Yeah,
That's
that is crazy.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine that nowadays.
Right. Well, I think the only guy to do it is JJ Watt, if I'm correct. Or
Oh,
maybe no, I don't think he
TJ,
did.
didn't TJ just get to 20?
Yeah, you might be right. It might
Yeah,
be
he had
TJ.
22 and a half. He tied the record.
Tied it. Yeah. Yeah.
That was back in
And
2021.
JJ,
Yeah.
so you can see they put JJ there at D line because he played all over,
Right.
both on the left and right side there in a 3-4 defense for the most part. But then I know they switched. I think they did switch at one point to a 4-3 in Houston. But yeah, and I'm looking right now. So JJ had 2012 and then 2014. He had 20 and a half sacks both of those years. That's nuts, man. Yeah,
That is crazy.
He was insane too. I mean, he was catching touchdown passes as a tight end too. Like he was next level. Yeah. Only a 5-time Pro Bowler. That's kind of crazy. He did get hurt a lot, so there was that.
Yeah, he did get hurt a lot. I mean, he basically had 4 lost seasons and all of that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's crazy, man. Wow. Yeah. But yeah, moving on to defensive tackles here. So now we have Aaron Donald, Calais Campbell, and Chris Jones. So this one's interesting. And trying to think of some names like that you would substitute these guys with. I think Aaron Donald is a shoe-in. Chris Jones probably is also a shoe-in. Calais Campbell, man, you talk about longevity and what he has been able to do, like still balling at the ripe age of 39. Like, or is he 40? He might be 40 now. I want to say
Calais, I thought he was 40. He'll be 39.
Oh, he's 38.
Yeah, he'll be 39 before the start of the year.
Yeah. It's amazing, man. Yeah, Calais is different. But the thing with him is he was more of like a 3-4 D end too for a while with the Cardinals. And I think even with Jacksonville, he played inside, he played outside. He played
nose tackle last year, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's nuts. Yeah, with Miami. Yeah.
Yeah, the thing with Calais is I just never thought that Calais was especially dominant. And the longevity is cool and all, but he obviously had 1 year where he was AP All-Pro. It was his first year in Jacksonville.
Jacksonville was that was the Saxonville years. He was ridiculous there.
Yeah, 14 and a half, 10 and a half, and then 6.5 before he left there. But
yeah,
I don't know. It's not especially dominant, I guess, as compared.
He falls into for me, he falls into the Bryant Young category. Like he's going to get into the Hall of Fame because he was an Iron Man and always did things the right way, and he made his presence known when he's on the field. Like really, really elite player, but not necessarily getting the recognition he deserved because there's other flashier guys that are in the league at the same time. But you think of some other defensive tackles that you would substitute him for, and I was trying to think.
What do you think about Casey Hayward or Cameron Hayward?
Cam Hayward, yeah. So he's kind of similar, right? Where he's like this 3-4 defensive end, but he's more of like a defensive tackle type.
Right.
I would consider doing that. But Calais has more sacks in his career, I believe, right?
Well, so let's see. He does. He's also
Cam Hayward have?
He has 88 and a half.
Okay.
However, they've been to the same amount of Pro Bowls. And
yeah,
Cam has gotten good recently. I mean, his first 6 years in the league, he wasn't even in the Pro Bowl. And then by the time he hit 28, he's basically gone every year.
No, that's true. That is true. Yeah, that would be a name to consider. Definitely.
I thought of Chris Jenkins, but I don't think that he played long enough. I think he only played 10 years.
Right. What about Kevin Williams? If you're talking more traditional
Kevin Williams
tackle.
Ticket. I think that's what JT O'Sullivan calls him. Is
the
ticket.
Big ticket.
The big ticket.
Yeah, because looking at this defensive tackle lineup, they are this new era of D tackles. Like I feel like you got to throw in another. And I know you have Vince Wilfork at the nose tackle position here, but like the defensive tackles, you have this more like athletic version of the defensive tackle position where they could play like 3-4 D end and like inside as a traditional 4-3 D tackle. Like I'm looking for the fat boy. I'm looking for like the Kevin Williams who would pick up sacks, the Warren Sapps even, like guys like that could really do it all. I think Kevin Williams definitely deserves to be considered for this list. How long did he play for in the 2000s? It had to have been at least 9 years, right?
Kevin Williams?
Yeah.
13 years.
13 years.
03 to 15. He played a long time.
Yeah. I mean, it was a really...
And 5-time All-Pro.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking mid-2000s. He was top tier, man. Like, there was really
now
not a lot of players better.
He did fall off in terms of production for sure. I mean, like he's not a big sack guy, it seems like in general, to be honest with you. But like the fact is he started every game. I mean, he was still starting, he was still making tackles.
Yeah. What he was with Seattle and then New Orleans he finished his career with? Right?
Yeah.
Which is
I don't even remember that, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I really don't. That doesn't come to mind. Yeah, I don't know why. I'm starting to all of a sudden remember some guys, but none of them are really, quite good enough, I think, to make the list. Like Simeon Rice also came to mind. But Simeon really was only in the last 25 years, about 7 of them. So I don't know if that would count.
Simeon for edge, you mean? So him and Dwight Freeney, yeah, those would be the two. Jason Taylor too. Jason Taylor is another name. Michael Strahan. Yeah.
Yeah, and Michael Strahan was mostly in the 90s as well.
Yeah.
So
right,
you have to give him that. But anyways, I think line's pretty good overall. I like it. Your point on defensive tackles absolutely valid, but I think the rest is pretty good.
It's a really athletic defensive line there, and then you got Vince Wilfork right in the middle.
Right in the middle. Right in the middle.
Yeah.
Now I think there could be no argument on this first linebacking position. It's perfect.
Oh. Absolutely. Those are your inside linebackers. Yeah, like your captains of the defense, guys that just play different, man. Yeah, no questions here.
But the other linebacking position, Derek Brooks is not on that list, and I don't
understand that. Yeah.
I mean, just an absolute dominant force.
Levante David is fantastic and does not get enough love for what he has done in his career. Like,
yes, the fact that he's still as fast as he is crazy. It's crazy.
For sure. Yeah, I would say, when you're looking at this other linebacker position, as your more athletic, Will or Sam linebacker here, right? I would consider Derek Brooks, absolutely. Lance Briggs, that's another name who doesn't get enough love. Brian Urlacher's teammate there in Chicago.
Now we would consider Terrell Suggs an edge, correct?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely an edge guy. Yeah, Junior Seau, but maybe more.
No, I thought of Junior Seau, but I looked at his stats, and honestly, after 2004, it was kind of.
And he was more of like an inside linebacker, anyways.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
Yeah,
and Bobby Wagner.
Yeah,
honestly, Bobby Wagner's accolades, I think, give him the nod.
Oh, Bobby Wagner's insane.
But like Levante David, I'm honestly shocked to see this. He's been in 1 Pro Bowl his entire career.
Isn't that crazy?
That is absolutely
as good as he is. Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild to me. I'm trying to think of some other guys that to beef this up, but it's kind of hard because you don't really think about this linebacking position a lot. It's a lot of times the first position that comes to mind for me is like those middle linebackers like Ray Lewis. That was like captain of the defense. Those are the first guys tackling machines, and they're very underappreciated. The kind of outside linebackers, but you think of them as just the sack machines, but they're right. That's not exactly.
These guys aren't like they're in like their own different category because like these edge outside linebackers that are hybrids, they're more of that 3-4 pass rushing type. These guys are not in that category whatsoever. It's Thomas Davis. That's another name too. You can maybe consider
Thomas Davis. What about Demario Davis?
Demario Davis, another great name. I think he's more inside though.
I mean, his most amount of sacks he's ever has is 6.
Yeah.
Oh, you're saying more of a middle,
like a middle linebacker.
I got you. Gotcha.
Yeah. And
Dude,
middle
he's
linebacker.
still
Speaking of
playing,
that,
which is insane. He's 36
yeah,
and still playing.
like
God.
middle linebackers, inside linebacker guys. Another name that is not on this list that should deserve some recognition, and a dude that's kind of been mulled over. Like, should he be a Hall of Famer? Should he not? Is London Fletcher?
When I tell you, I want you to see this right now, what I'm about to do.
Pull it up.
I was just looking at London Fletcher. I was literally just looking
Yeah,
at him.
like
Insane.
consistency through the roof, man. Very impressive. Like every year except his rookie year, his first and second year,
I guess
over
he didn't
100
start
total
this game,
tackles.
but he started
Wow,
every game. It's
it's
crazy.
amazing. It's amazing.
Until he was 38.
And
It's
yeah,
pretty.
he didn't even get his first Pro Bowl nod until he was in his mid 30s.
Yeah, yeah, which is a crime. It's an honest crime.
And I got a lot of love for London too because he went to John Carroll University.
Sure.
Kind of my alma mater in a way. So yeah. I
What do we
mean,
think about Takeo?
I love
Probably,
Takeo
probably not.
Spikes, but
Yeah, probably
yeah, the injuries really hurt him. But he actually he had a long career, no doubt. Keith Brooking is another name,
but he's
obviously
more
for
of a middle
middle.
linebacker, right?
Yeah, for
Yeah,
middle linebackers. So Patrick Willis, that'd be another name to
Patrick
consider,
Willis
obviously.
absolutely should be
Yep.
considered, and I bet you Fred Warner will get up there too.
Yeah, he
As
probably will.
as
Zach
he comes around.
Thomas.
Zach Thomas is be perfect,
Zach Thomas. Yep.
and we can't forget all the Steelers linebackers that they've had.
Oh, they just
Kendrell
cycled
Bell is
through.
insane. Obviously,
Yeah.
Joey Porter,
James Harrison.
James Harrison, James
Yep.
Ferrier.
Mm-hmm.
There's the name.
Yeah, James Ferrier. Yeah, you want to talk about more of your inside linebacker? He was crazy too. Gosh,
Now I'm looking at
trying to think
Jason
of
Gilden.
Jason Gilden. Yeah. See, this is the rabbit hole you go down when you're trying to think of these other players, man.
All right, we got to move on from linebacker. This video.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So going on to corners here. So, agree with most of this list, but how do you leave Charles Woodson off this list? That is a big no-no. I don't see it.
Yeah, the only reason I could say you'd leave him off is just because his career is one of the most interesting careers because he was an All-Pro for this first 4 years he was in the league. He fell off pretty dramatically for like 6 years. And now when you're 31 and you're a cornerback and you've fallen off for 6 years, usually your time is done in the league. You know what I mean? And then he goes out and he has 4 more years of being an All-Pro.
And he won Defensive Player of the Year.
One Defensive Player of the Year, 33 years old.
Yeah.
And then he fell off again for a year and then got right back on the horse and finished with a Pro Bowl at 39 years old. I mean,
yeah, that's nuts.
This guy, how is this guy not on the list? And
yeah,
we were trying to, because I think Jake and I were a little split at first on who we would take off this list. I think it should probably be Richard Sherman, just because he was more of a one side of the field player, and he's most known for the Legion of Boom, but it wasn't all him. It was it was guys like Brandon Browner, Cam Chancellor, who were also helping him out quite a bit. So
Earl Thomas,
Thomas, of course. So I think that plays into it. And the only other guy I think Jake thought maybe Patrick Peterson, but I think you also have to put in the fact that Patrick Peterson was a returner.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that makes it. And Charles Woodson was also a returner, but I do think that makes a difference. You know what I mean?
Oh, it definitely does.
And it just adds another factor to your team.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, just to think of some other names too. We talked about Charles Tillman a little bit. Peanut Tillman, Peanut Punch, did not get enough love throughout his career for what he did.
He did not. He was a very different corner, and that was that was a really cool thing. Like just the fact that he was such a a hard hitting force fumble corner. That was not a thing for a while, especially after the Mel Blount rule. They stopped doing that.
Right.
I mean, what was
lockdown. Was it 9 forced fumbles or 11? Something like that. It was.
I don't know if he ever got double digits, but it was a lot.
It was 10 in 2012.
Wow, that's crazy.
10 forced fumbles at the cornerback position. Like, that's nuts. Yeah. Asante Samuel too, Ian. That's another name. Like a dude that should really be considered for the Hall of Fame. Asante Samuel, what he did,
man,
super impressive.
Like Asante was very good. I don't know about Hall of Fame.
I don't know, man. He had 10 picks in 06. He had like 9 the one year with Philly,
Yeah,
7.
I mean, 51 interceptions total
Yeah,
for his
it's
career. I mean,
a
that's
ball
great.
hawk. Yeah.
But man, I'm not sure.
And this is Asante Samuel Sr. for all those
Right.
listening out there, not Asante Samuel Jr., all right? So,
Speaking of, I can't believe he is unsigned.
right?
How has
Yeah,
he
that's
not been
crazy.
picked up? Is
I
crazy
don't
to me.
know. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, some good names here. I think all of them are worthy of it for sure. But yeah, just if you wanted to replace a guy, how do you not put Charles Woodson on the list? That just baffles me. Crazy. Especially a defensive player of the year winner at the cornerback position, because that typically is not awarded to a cornerback. It
Right.
is very hard to win that award as a corner. So
Very true.
yeah, you got to put him on this list here. So moving on to safety, we got Ed Reed, Brian Dawkins, Troy Polamalu, and Earl Thomas. So I think 3 out of 4 are perfect shoe-ins. Earl Thomas is where it gets a little interesting. And Earl Thomas is a fantastic safety, a guy that is going to get some Hall of Fame consideration. But there might be a current player right now in Harrison Smith that I may replace with Earl Thomas.
Yeah, I think you have to. I think Harrison Smith, his longevity speaks for itself. I
Yeah.
mean, Earl played for 10 years. Harrison's still going, and he was drafted. Well, I guess he wasn't drafted around the same time, but 2012. I
Yeah.
mean, to play safety for that long and still get picks. I mean, he had 3 picks last year.
I
It's
know it.
35.
I know
I
it,
mean,
dude.
it's crazy. Not to mention, it would be a guy on this list that's currently playing. You don't have a safety who's currently playing, so it would
Right.
provide something like that. It's weird because I always felt like safety back in the day. I can't believe I'm saying that at 31 years old. Back in the
Yeah.
day,
Right.
when we were like 10 or 15, I feel like safeties were around a lot longer. Like you'd see some safeties in their 40s. I mean, remember like
Yeah.
Blaine Bishop and Victor Green? Like they played
Rod
to their
Woodson.
Rod Woodson
Yeah.
played to those 40s, but it's such a hard position. I think just general being in the secondary is such a hard position to last for and be dominant for a long time in the league. And I mean, if you got a guy like that in this modern era, I think you got to put him. I mean, the fact that he's 36, or I guess, yeah, he's 36, and there's still people going to be like, you got to watch out for that guy. It's
Right.
pretty crazy. It's pretty nuts. And he's been healthy for. I mean, he hasn't missed a
That's
start.
just it. Yeah, it's amazing, dude, to play in the league that it is too. Like it is a pass happy league,
Yeah,
and he stayed with the same franchise the entire time too. Like it is amazing. Yeah. So I think Harrison Smith would be the one guy I would replace Earl Thomas with.
yeah, for
And this
sure.
is no knock to Earl. Like he's fantastic. Again, a guy that probably deserves some Hall of Fame consideration himself. But that's the one dude I would replace with him. I mean, there would be another name on this list if he wasn't in prison, but
Yeah,
Darren Sharper,
yeah,
would definitely be on this list. But he's not going to get any of that recognition because he's a terrible human being, unfortunately.
yeah,
So yeah, just awful. But yeah, Darren Sharper would absolutely. I mean, statistically, what he did,
yeah.
just
Pretty insane.
crazy. Yeah,
But,
as a football player, elite, Hall of Famer.
but going on to kicker. Speaking of controversy,
Yeah, right. Here we go. Walking
I mean,
right into it.
Justin Tucker's on the list, but if you wanted to, depending on what ends up happening with him, I mean, Adam Vinatieri is an obvious choice.
Yeah,
For
Vinny
second.
would be the other one. Yeah,
And there's really no one else, to be honest with you. I mean, there
I
have been
agree.
kickers who have been around for a really long time, like Jason Hansen played into his 40s, David Akers played into his 40s, but like, when Adam Vinatieri is making these clutch kicks that nobody else even could ever dream of making, I mean, it's a magical thing, and Adam Vinatieri has been known for that. And even though he played a lot in the 90s as well, I mean, he's a living legend. So I think he would have to be on here.
How old was Vinny when he retired? He had
He's
to
like
have been
44, I want to say.
Yeah. 47, dude. 47 years old. That is nuts.
Yeah,
I mean,
96 to 2019.
he actually played more years in the 2000s.
Yeah, he did. Many more.
And he has the most field goals made and field goals attempted in his career. I might consider putting Vinny.
It's just
I
the
know
accuracy.
Tucker's more Yeah, it's the accuracy. That's what it is. Kickers have gotten so good where it's like if you're not kicking 80+%, you're not making an NFL roster.
Right.
Like back in the day, it's funny I'm saying that. I mean, you look at even Vinatieri, like he had some years where he was 70 something percent,
So
but
yeah,
that was still
73
considered
in
okay.
03.
Yeah. So it's wild to see how good these kickers are. I mean, you have just average kickers now, kicking routinely 85+% field goal percentage. It's
Yeah, they kind of have to.
yeah. Yeah. It's extremely impressive. But yeah, those would definitely be the two. If you were to sub out Justin Tucker, it'd be Vinatieri. Punter, Shane Leckler. Yeah, I mean, you could suggest Brian Moorman, but I think Leckler is a Hall
Yeah.
of Fame punter, whereas
Yeah,
Brian
he
Moorman
is.
probably isn't. I love him. He was amazing for us during the drought era, probably our best player during the drought era, but got to give it to Shane Leckler. Absolutely. I mean, anyone else that you could put there, if you think of someone, it might be Johnny Hecker, maybe.
Yeah, it could be
But
Johnny Ecker, but yeah, no, it's Shane Leckler all the way.
gotta be. Now, for my favorite position, the long snapper position, Morgan Cox at long snapper is perfect. Now, we talked about some other guys like John Dorenbos and Mike Schneck, who played for the Buffalo Bills. John Dorenbos also had a quick stop here in Buffalo. Reed Ferguson, our own. Problem is, Reed doesn't really have the accolades. There's another guy, too. I'm trying to think.
Yeah, there was a guy that I was trying to think of, JP Darsh.
JP Darsh, Seattle. JJ Jansen. That's what I was thinking of. JJ
That's
Jansen
who it
for the
was.
Panthers.
Yes.
Yep. That would be another
2009.
name. Yep. Yeah. He's still the Panthers long
Still
snapper.
playing. Still their
Yeah.
long snapper. Yeah.
Yeah, JJ Jansen. And that's really it, man. Like long snappers, they last a long time if they're really good, but they never get the recognition. I think the fact that Morgan Cox has 5 Pro Bowl selections and a first team All Pro,
Yeah, that's
that
pretty
speaks
nuts.
volumes. And yeah, shout out to Morgan Cox. Are you kidding me? Love that. Absolutely love it.
Perfect. Yeah, and obviously for returner, it can't be anyone else.
Yeah.
It has to be Devin. Josh Cribbs is great, but it has to be Devin Hester.
And we've had some guys like Josh Cribbs. We've had Dante Hall, who was the human joystick. Like
Yeah.
some
Dante
really, really great returners, even Cordero Patterson, like great returner of this era,
Yeah.
but no one better than Devin Hester, man. Yeah, just amazing, really. So no questions there. And then special teamer, Matthew Slater. I mean, just like his dad, dude, just played forever, ton of Pro Bowl selections, just a master of his craft. And, if it wasn't for Steve Tasker, maybe a position that doesn't get a whole lot of recognition as the special teamer, the gunner, the guy that does the dirty work. But he is one of the best to ever do it.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
I love it. Yeah. And I mean, really, the only other guy that could come close is Kasim Osgood. And he played with the Chargers and the Jaguars throughout his career. But no one has the accolades or anywhere near what Matthew Slater has in this era. So, yeah. And that just about completes the team.
Yeah, that's
And,
everybody.
as we were talking about some of these guys, we wanted to maybe mention some players that we thought deserved recognition for the Hall of Fame. We talked about a lot of those guys. I know it's getting a little late here, but any names for you, Ian? I want to hear just give me 5 guys, 3 guys that you feel should be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame that aren't right now.
Well, I'll give you the most ridiculous one is Jim Marshall.
Yes.
I don't understand how
name.
Jim Marshall is not in the Hall of Fame.
He just passed away too.
He just
actually.
passed away about June 3rd. He passed away this
Yeah.
month. And it's a shame that he's not going to be alive to see it, but he should have been voted to the Hall of Fame a long time ago.
Absolutely.
I mean, the
Talk
guy
about an Iron
played
Man.
for 20 years, and in those 20 years, other than his rookie year, he never missed a game, a single game.
That's amazing.
Even when it went up to 16 games. In his 41-year-old year, the league went from 14 to 16 games, and he still started all of them, and then started them again in his age 42 season. It's crazy. He didn't get the accolades. He only made 2 Pro Bowls, which really stinks because he was so dominant. He was so good. It's just a shame. I think he meant a lot. He racked up 130 sacks. 30 and a half sacks.
It's
It's a lot of
incredible.
sacks. And he
Yeah.
was on some amazing Vikings teams that made it to the Super Bowl, I think 4 times,
Yep.
and unfortunately never got the big one. But like he absolutely needs to be in the Hall of
I
Fame.
mean, look at that dude. Yeah.
Yeah,
And only 2 Pro Bowl selections. Like, that's crazy too.
it's very
He was
insane.
just tremendously consistent though.
But he wasn't especially dominant as far as like sacks, but like the fact that he played so long is how he gets to 130. And I get it, but like I wish they had recorded tackles back then because I think you'd see a lot of them, a lot of
Yeah.
TFLs as well. And everyone's
It's a
obviously
great
going to
game.
remember the one picky or the one fumble recovery where you ran the wrong way, but that's not a guy's
Yeah.
legacy.
Right. Absolutely
So
not. Yeah.
I'll give you a second guy, Reggie Wayne.
Absolutely.
Not
Yeah.
sure why he
Yeah.
has.
I don't know.
Has he even been on the ballot?
He has, and I think he's been in like the finalists, but he has never made it past that point, obviously. But yeah, I mean, come on. It's
Yeah, I
crazy.
mean, I understand he had Peyton thrown to him literally his entire career, but you still have to be good. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I mean, you look at the guys that Peyton developed: Pierre Garcon, Anthony Gonzalez, Austin Collie. But like, even when they went on to other teams,
Hmm.
like Pierre Garcon was great
Yeah.
with the
Better
Washington
with the
Redskins.
Redskins than,
Yeah,
yeah, right?
but yeah, to me, Reggie should be considered for sure. I'm
Yeah.
trying to think of a third guy. I don't have one off the top of my tongue here, tip of my tongue. How about you give me a couple, and then I'll try to provide my last one.
Sticking on the theme of receivers, Jimmy Smith. Now, there have been a laundry
Ooh,
list of
yes.
personal issues with Jimmy, but
Yep.
man, he the football life, I highly encourage anyone to watch that. Like, it really goes into, obviously, his upbringing, kind of how he had gotten into some trouble and, was selling drugs and was addicted to like cocaine and all this other stuff. And like, this guy would have had the record for most consecutive 1,000-yard seasons if he hadn't been suspended in 2003 for 4 games for substance abuse.
Yeah.
He would have absolutely gotten that 1,000 yards. There are some moments with Jimmy Smith that it really stands out. Like, he maybe had one of the best ever fantasy performances of all time, and I did a great video on this. I want to say it was. Let me see here. I'm going to pull it up because I need to know.
Well, while you're pulling that up, another thing about Jimmy is, look, I love Mark Brunell. Didn't have the best quarterbacks throwing to him though.
No,
You
no,
know,
he really didn't, man.
and everybody talks about the tandem with him and Keenan McCardle, which, when you have to worry about Keenan McCardle, you're not always thinking about Jimmy Smith. So maybe he was more
Yeah,
open. But even after Keenan left or was I don't know if he was traded or if he signed with a different team, but he still produced. It's
right.
incredible.
Yeah, and yeah, again, this is the moment that I was speaking of. So this 2000 Ravens defense that barely let up anything. This Jacksonville team scored 36 points on them. And the numbers that Jimmy Smith put up in this game
Oh yeah, yeah.
were some of the most impressive fantasy numbers you'll ever see,
It was an insane.
especially because it was against the 2000 Ravens defense, arguably the best defense in NFL history outside of like the 85 Bears.
Yep.
He caught 15 for 291 and 3 tuds against this team. Like, just ridiculous, man. So, I think there's some moments with Jimmy where he needs to be remembered a little bit more. And I know he played in an era with some really good receivers, but he was one of the elite ones too, man. And he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame 1,000%. So that is my first choice there. I could take the easy way out here and just point to the jersey to my left, probably your right if you're watching. You can't really see it here in the screen, but Steve Tasker, that's the guy that essentially created a special teams position for the gunner position. And I do think, it's like, what are we waiting for? Why has he not gotten into the Hall? Like, for him to win Pro Bowl MVP as a gunner, just simply by blocking punts and making tackles and forcing fumbles, like, it's pretty damn impressive, man. Put him in the Hall. He deserves it. And then the last guy, I talked about it earlier on in the show, is Priest Holmes. And my reasoning for it is because, he had arguably the greatest 3-year stretch of any running back ever. I dare you to find me a better one. I mean, maybe you look at Derrick Henry's numbers, but I think what he did with touchdowns and the fact that he had the receiving stats to go with it, like you're catching 74 or 70 passes and also running for 1,600 plus and scoring 27 rushing touchdowns, 21 rushing touchdowns. This one specifically in 14 games. And then in your career, you had 8,100 yards, 86 tuds and 8 receiving tuds. You had 94 career touchdowns. It just was amazing. And I think, he is one of those guys that's going to fall into that category of like shortened career, but his career was heightened by the fact that he was the best running back in the league at the time and did some amazing, incredible things. So, Priest Holmes, baby.
Love that. Well, I did remember one I wanted to include, and also somebody I just talked about. I think Adam Vinatieri.
Oh,
has got.
I think he will. I think he will. One of those things where he will. Yeah,
he certainly will, but it should come sooner rather than later. I mean, I think this was his. He retired in 2019. Would have been
first ballot.
So yeah. It's pretty hard to get for a kicker, but
yeah,
we definitely want to see Adam in there, I think.
Yep, I like it. Yeah, I mean, just some other names too, like Torrey Holt. I don't understand why he hasn't been voted into the Hall. That's
Torrey
crazy.
Holt should absolutely be in the Hall.
How has Torrey Holt not gotten to the Hall? I mean, actually better than Jimmy Smith in my opinion, but like this dude, talk about consistency again from 2000 to 2007.
Completely dominated.
Yeah. I mean, look at the averages, everything. He's just amazing, And I know he had a tandem and great coaching and whatnot, but Torrey was great, man. Like, absolutely worthy of a Hall of Fame selection. The fact that he hasn't gotten in and he retired in 2009, I don't understand what they're thinking. Like, it's taken too long already. So, yeah, that would be one of my other votes. Honorable mention.
Yeah, that's very good.
Yeah. No, this was fun, man. I really enjoy this. Obviously, reminiscing on some of the names that we grew up with, going through these quarter-century teams. This podcast, it's a mix of, like, current day and nostalgia and talking about all that and obviously showing our football passion. So, no, I appreciate it. I love it, man. This was good stuff.
Yeah, and I think we were able to set the record straight on a couple of those picks. But, I definitely love doing it. It's always a blast. Yeah.
Well,
and that Lipton sign, by the way, it goes real hard.
Isn't that awesome, dude? Yeah, I mean, it really does.
Classic.
The funny part was I said I was going to open up another beer, but I was so distracted by looking at numbers and everything else. I'm almost done with this. This may be the slowest I've ever drank a beer or a seltzer or whatever it may be, but I am enjoying it. So cheers to all of you out there. I do want you guys to, obviously if you have comments or disagreements or agreements, put them in the comments below. Make sure to like, subscribe. Follow us on Nickel City Mafia here. We're doing a lot of great things. We just started this Pigskin Poets podcast with myself and Ian, but we also do a Buffalo Bills pregame, postgame, off-season shows. We do a bunch of stuff in terms of fantasy as well. So stay tuned. We got a lot of content coming up here, and football's right around the corner, baby. I cannot wait. So fired up, man.
Getting close.
Yeah. So any closing thoughts?
Not from me, man. I think we covered quite a bit. Talked about every player that we wanted to talk about, and couldn't have said it better myself. I think it's been great.
I love it, dude. I love it. Well, hey, thank you to everyone that watched. We love you. We appreciate you. Shout out to Labatt. Shout out to Bill. We're going to make sure we get that sponsorship going. Right now, it's soft sponsorship, but this has been another episode of the Pigskin Poets presented by Nickel City Mafia. Cheers, guys. Go Bills.
Go Bills.